G'day everyone. Welcome to the Toon Under podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best podcast, all things Newcastle United. We are your 2025 Carabao Cup winning podcast. I'm joined this afternoon for us by Craig and Jack. Craig, I'll start with you, mate. How are you?
I'm starting to get emotional just even talking to you right now.
I know I was going to trigger you later. I didn't think I was going to see you in the first minute, mate.
Just even when you're saying there, we are the Carabao Cup winners. It still hasn't fully sunk in, has it? I've got a smile as wide as the Tyne. I'm as happy as a pig in shit. I'm sleep deprived. I'm slightly hungover. But would I change it for the world? Absolutely not.
And Jack, how are you, mate?
I don't know what this feeling is. Honestly, it's such a strange and unusual feeling, and it's just a mixture of all sorts of different things. I think it's obviously about 12 hours we've been awake for now. So, but yeah, since 4:30 this morning, I've been floating on cloud 9. I went for a 12k run, barely broke a sweat, adrenaline coursing through my body still. It's just a unbelievable feeling, actually, and I keep going on Twitter and getting triggered by things I'm seeing. It's just I just can't actually believe we're here in this situation. Like, after 35 years, probably 30 years I've been following this club for, like, with all my heart, and to win this is I just can't believe it, actually. And it's just a joy. It's an absolute joy, and it's going to take some time to calm down, I think, but let's just keep it going.
It is, and I think I'm the same as you, Jack. I was up at 3:15 in the morning here in Victoria. Craig, I think you might have had a little bit of a kip for a couple of hours after the game, Jack. I think you're raw dogging it at the moment as well. I don't think I'll be sleeping until, it's bedtime here. So, I guess, what were your reactions, Jack, when the final whistle went? I know it did get probably more twitchier than it needed to be in that last sort of 3 or 4 minutes, but what was your sort of overriding emotion when the final whistle went?
I was sitting in my father-in-law's bedroom, which is not probably the place that many people have the best moment of their life. But yeah, no, because we were watching it down there, and Katie's mum was sleeping up here in case we didn't want to wake the girls up, and we definitely would have woken the girls up. I was walking down the street earlier, and one of my neighbours who lives 4 doors down was like, "Was that you at 3 in the morning?" I didn't realize how loud we'd been in the house, but yeah, like. My wife Kate was sitting next to me, and she took a photo, and I don't know she was doing this, and I sobbed for 5 minutes straight, and I started feeling like that when we scored the second goal, because it started feeling like we might actually do it, and then obviously they scored, and it could have been a lot more nervy than it was. We saw it out so well. We're probably not even going to talk about the actual game today, but
no, we're not. So if you're looking for some hot takes about the game and analysis, you could probably flick it off now, because you're not getting it. This is more of a snap reaction. What the hell kind of just happened, and how do we process this? So yeah, if that's what you're looking for, stick around. We'll do one later in the week where we can actually maybe watch it again and comprehend what had happened in a little bit more detail. But yeah, we just thought we'd jump on now and get the reactions of, especially you two, who kind of lived over there and lived through the shit actually on the ground, rather than we've lived through it as well, but we're a little bit more removed over here to the day-to-days of it all. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to jump on. Craig, when did you kind of feel like this is happening?
When Dan Burn scored that first goal, I thought, you know what, this could actually happen, because it's the one thing we haven't done for God knows how many years. I think it was since the last League Cup final against Liverpool, where last we scored at Wembley in an actual final. And I thought, you know what, this could actually happen, because up to that point, we were actually doing really, really well. We were the better team. And I know we're not going to go like a match analysis or anything like that, but when that goal went in, it was just that weight lifted off everybody's shoulders. You know what, this could actually happen. And getting that first goal was so important as well. And what a week for Dan Burn. I mean, that is just an absolute rags to riches story from where he's come from when we released him as an 11-year-old to re-signing with a club, scoring the Champions League, scoring the first goal in a Wembley final for however many years, and then getting the Man of the Match award and getting a winner's medal too. That is just, I cannot comprehend how that man must be feeling right now. He says he's not going to have any drinks or anything because he's going to report straight for England duty, but I guarantee you there will be beers flowing in the I'm getting choked up now. Beers flowing within there, that changing room and everything up, because that man is just an absolute legend now, an absolute icon within the club.
Jack, how about you, mate? When did you start thinking, oh, we might be on here?
I think it was when we scored the second goal, because that came just after the disappointment of the VAR disallowed goal as well. And it's a bit like against Arsenal in the semi-final. We got over that disappointment straight away by scoring a goal. And Liverpool just weren't in the game. You know, we were in such control for the whole game. And even when they scored, we were still in control. They had one chance where Pope made the great save, and how good for him as well, by the way, coming in and doing that. But yeah, I think it was when we scored the second goal, I actually started believing that we might actually do it. I remember saying at half time, this has still got a long way to go. Let's not get too excited yet. It was a perfect time to score just before half time as well. But yeah, the second goal is when I really started feeling inside me 30 years of, emotion and the amount of energy you pour into the club, and it started bubbling up, I think, when we scored that second goal. So that was when I started thinking we might actually do this. And then when we're in the corner at the end as well, usually when there's only one goal, you're on the edge of your seat, and of course we were, but we were just so good. Like the amount of times Craig's just talked about Dan Burn there, the amount of times that in the second half I just said Dan Burn, because he was just winning headers right, left, and centre. He won everything. I've never seen such a colossal performance, and he probably wasn't even the best player in this game. I think Joe Living was even better. So and answer your question, probably the second goal was when it started feeling real. And then towards the end when we had the ball in the corner, Joe Wilson did a brilliant job there. Yeah, and we've done it, and I can't believe it.
What about you, Keegan?
Yeah, I was probably the second goal too. I always thought one against this team was probably not going to be enough, and hopefully we could score again. And I just had this thing in the back of my mind that we kind of score, and then second half, I think of the Forest game as well, where we just totally shit the bed trying to defend a lead, and I didn't really, I guess, feel comfortable until that second goal went in, and then I kind of thought, hang on, we could be on here. And given the way we're playing too, and we didn't really retreat. We just kept coming at him and coming at him. And that was probably the most pleasing thing for me, was us not surrendering, but just not sort of letting them have it on their terms for really any stretch of the game at all. And the only time that Pope save was, I think it was about an hour or something it was, but that was absolutely huge in the context of the game, given if they had scored then, I think we would have probably shit the bed a little bit and really got back and defended, which we're not very good at the moment. So for that save was absolutely huge in the game. And then, even their goal, like, I don't know what Bruno was thinking, trying to do a Cruyff turn. Like, all he had to do was just take the ball. Probably would have got the foul as well, soak a bit more time up and things like that. But, it was just, I was twitchy after it, but after the goal in that extra time, the commentator tells us it's going to be over 100 minutes, and it just like, shit, just hang on. But it was a corner flag masterclass by Willock and Wilson. I think Tonali come over for a bit as well. But I think even before the first goal, I was just happy we turned up, and it's probably the first thing, and we probably spoke about as, like, in a podcast, a lot of fans talk about it as well, even journalists that cover the club, which just, we just want to turn up and actually give a good account of ourselves and that. But we did, Craig, didn't we?
Abso-friggin-lutely. From that first whistle right down to the last, we were the best team on that pitch. I don't think there was any particular moment where Liverpool threatened to an extent. We significantly outplayed them in every single position. And you've got to give credit to Tino as well, because not only is he playing in an unnatural position, he also created the second goal with that cross. And I think for the first ever time in his Liverpool career, Mo Salah's failed to have a shot on target or create any type of meaningful attempt in his Liverpool career, which to me speaks volumes of how good that defense was and how good Tino was, again, playing out of position. Absolute colossal performance from him.
It was, huge. And the fact that when he kept bombing on, Byrne was the one that was covering Salah as well to sort of give Livramento that license to get forward, which he did for that second goal. And even on that second goal, it was another Jacob Murphy moment, wasn't it, Jack? Like we spoke about that in the club highlights. I think they put out in January for 2024. Jacob Murphy is in it all the time, and he's had a fantastic season. But that another assist to Isaac, another moment for Jacob Murphy, the lifelong fan.
Yeah, absolutely. He was born in Wembley as well, Jacob Murphy. So he was born just down the road. But yeah, it couldn't be much more perfect. Murphy assist for an Isak goal. And you saw him after that goal on the match cam. They've released a few little snippets, and he just goes crazy. He runs behind the goal, and then
he runs the opposite direction where everyone else had gone.
And then at the end, he could barely walk. So neither could Isak. He was done.
Oh, how funny was he walking off too, just quietly with the stiff legs?
Murphy could barely move, or I don't know if he was putting it on a little bit, but Jacob Murphy. He's 30 years old now. He's been written off. So many of these players in this team have been written off before. Even 10 days ago, Nick Pope was championship standard. Trippier could have gone to Turkey at any point of the last 18 months. Fabian Schär, Dan Burn, both being written off at various times. We've got an old defense, a slow defense, but the character in them boys is it's unbeatable. And Trippier especially, he was magnificent today against Diaz, who's not an easy opponent. Livramento on this wrong position, like I said, he had Salah in his pocket. Even Fabian Schär was back to his best. He was spraying passes around as well. We just got it today. We just got it right. And I don't know if the preparation before, Eddie said it was a bit of that, but he didn't want to put too much on it. He just said, it was a plan and the players have executed the plan perfectly. But yeah, like to see Jacob Murphy lift a cup for Newcastle, his boyhood club, is just, who would have thought that, 2 years ago, never mind 4 years ago when he was out on loan at Sheffield Wednesday and West Brom, It's just dream stuff, especially like you said for Byrne as well. But you just can't love these players anymore, everything they've given and the connection they've got. And it was nice to see Sean Longstaff get on. Don't forget, Sean Longstaff scored the goal against Forest in the penalty shootout to get us through. Gordon was there at the end. He was obviously disappointed not to play, but he scored 2 goals in the semi-final. All of them. But like this team are going to go down in legend now, and quite rightly they should. And it was nice to see Lascelles lift the cup. I'm just going all over the place here, but I'm just talking.
This is what it's about, mate. This is the whole point of it. We're not at the time to follow a rundown and sort of stick to the game and stuff like that. It's good you mentioned Trippier. I thought his first 10, 15 minutes, that composure he had with, not kept heading it back to Pope, just get control again, was like, you can't sort of put a price on that sort of stuff in big games like that. And that big game experience is just exactly what we need. And it's funny how it all works with, Lewis Hall gets injured, Gordon gets suspended. Livramento and Trippier, only one of them might have started. Like the reality is Hall would have played. And the fact that they both played and both played such big roles in the win, it's just so funny how sort of life works, football works, and things like that. Craig, what were you like early doors watching that team walk up the steps of Wembley to get that trophy?
Well, in the preview, when just before the game a few days ago, I mentioned that one of the things I want to see is us to be the second team walking up those steps. And we finally seen it. And it was something to behold. You had Bruno and Trips leading the line. and it was just, I don't know. I can't put it into words for how my emotions were. It was just an absolute battlefield coming together, and everything that was left on that pitch is probably still there right now. And I'm surprised that an ounce of energy to even climb those stairs, because there's a canny few of them, that's for sure. And it was just walking along. And as we talked about as well on the preview, Lascelles getting the opportunity to lift that trophy. That to me was probably one of the highlights of that whole ceremony, or whatever you want to call it, because if anyone thoroughly deserves to lift a trophy for this club, through the dark ages right through until now, it is Jamal Lascelles.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the steps, mate, because when I was watching it this morning, it was my first time watching a team walk up them steps at Wembley, because all the three finals in my life that we've lost, I've turned it off straight after the game. I haven't watched anything. It's the middle of the night. I don't really care. I'm not getting up in the middle of the night to watch another team play a final, never mind win and hang around for the trophy presentation and stuff. So it was my first steps experience. There was a lot more than I thought there was. I didn't realize there was kind of like a two-tiered sort of step. You got to get up a level and then you go up another set of stairs to get to the balcony where the trophies are presented. I'm sure you guys have sort of lived this a lot. Be like your grand final day when you were back in the UK watching it in the afternoon and there's nothing else on and things like that. But it was my first steps experience, and I was shocked. They were more than I thought, and it was a long way up and then a long way back down, and some footage come out, Jack, we seen with as the players were sort of descending, if you want to call it that. Andy Carroll was kind of hanging around the first sort of the top tier of stairs before they go down the bottom, and it was great to see players get around him. I've seen some footage of Elliot Anderson in the crowd as well, going off his nut. Like, this stuff's just unreal to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, Elliot Anderson was a really nice moment. He had a moment after the Forest game in the Cup, and he just wishes he was still here. You know, he's having a great season. He's probably going to be in an England squad soon, but to see him there was the footage of Shearer and his son Will. They were in the crowd. Ant and Deck. There was just everything. Sam Fender wasn't there. He was on tour. He was doing
He's in Berlin, wasn't he?
Yeah. But the music
they come out in their full kit. All the band had their full kit on as well. And
the music was belting out, though, Sam Fender music. So I've got pretty much all my friends were there at this as well. So I was following what they were doing all weekend as well. But, you know, that moment when you see your team lift the cup, like I'm a Brisbane Lions supporter as well from being here, but, you know, it's not my club, my long-term club like this, you know. This is 30 years, so much passion, so much effort goes into it. You just pour yourself into it. And I've got two daughters, and, you know, they are everything to me. But this moment, the only thing I can compare it to is that them holding them for the first time. That this came close, you know, and I didn't think anything ever would. Like, it's just that overwhelming rush of emotion, which, like, positive, overwhelming emotion, which just came out. And I didn't even see Liverpool climb those steps because I was just too busy trying to compose myself. And then when I looked up, the Newcastle players were climbing up and Andy Carroll was there, and the whole thing's just perfect. It's going to take some time to process everything and, you know, watch everything on Twitter. And I'm going to watch the full replay on Sky's. I've got Sky Sports on my dodgy box, so I'm going to watch that later on. And I'm sure there'll be more things that come up there. But I think watching it when you know the result, it's going to be a different experience.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah, it's funny that, like, there's probably two clubs that I've sort of poured my heart into from, you know, when I was born. I was kind of born as a Newcastle fan. I was born in a Geelong Cats fan in the AFL, and I remember their first grand final in 2007. It had a lot of similarities to what this is. I mean, I think it was 63 years since they last won something. That had a lot of heartbreak. They'd lost 4 grand finals in my lifetime as well. And just, this is a very similar feeling, albeit a lot more sober one than what I was that day in 2007. But it's just, it's the same feeling, you know. It's just that the thing that you've, like you said, you pour your heart out, you ride the result every week and things like that, and it rightly or wrongly kind of dictates your mood, and your friends suffer, sometimes your family suffer and everything like that. But then when you get a day like today, it makes it all worth it. And it's, you just can't describe it, because only you know sort of how you feel and the things that you've gone through and what you've done and how you've felt. And you think of family and the people that you wish could have been here and everything like that. And sometimes it all just gets the better of you.
Yeah, and I think for Newcastle as well, you know, this is all we've ever wanted. For me, I didn't think I was going to see this before I died, you know. I'd given up. I thought that this was it and we were never going to see this. But now we have. It's going to change my perspective on football, because nothing's going to top this. I don't think. It doesn't matter what we win. If we win Champions Leagues or if we win leagues, they're all going to be amazing, I'm sure of that. But how can you beat this, the first one? I don't think you'll be able to. So I don't think I'll ever get as stressed as this before, because we've done this now, and we've always got this, and we're always going to have this, and nothing can ever take it away. So I think that's what's most special about this: the relief, the joy, and the fact that we don't have to worry about never winning a trophy again. And it still seems unreal to even be saying this, but that's where we're at, and it's just an amazing feeling.
And Craig, something that I had completely forgotten about until one of my friends mentioned it in another chat that I'm in. Europe's guaranteed now, which I completely forgot about. I knew about it going into the game and thought about it during before the game and everything like that. And then as soon as the game sort of rolled and we won, it was like it was just erased from my memory. I'd never thought about it until one of my mates mentioned it to me. So that's one thing we've got already now. Now, I guess it does take the pressure off a little bit with regards to the rest of the league season, and China, it's very congested and things like that. But that's a massive carrot as well already, isn't it?
It's a huge carrot, absolutely huge carrot. Europa Conference League is the lowest grade of European competition. But if you were to give that to me at the start of the season with a League Cup win, would I snap your hands over it? Absolutely. Can we progress further, get the Europa League or even Champions League? It's definitely on. We're now back to one game a week because we're no longer in the FA Cup. A lot of those teams in and around us in the league are still in the FA Cup, so they've got a few other games to play. One or two are still in Europe as well. So there's a chance for us to really push on and get some points on the board and push back up that table. Fifth place looks like it is going to be good enough for a Champions League qualification. And who knows, there's 10 games to go, 30 points to play for. There's a hell of a lot of football to be played, but there's a weight off the shoulders and the expectation now we can play freely and we can play the way Newcastle United want to play. And if we play like we did today against Liverpool, then I can see us getting at least Europa League and possibly even Champions League as well.
Yeah, well, and just a couple more things before we sort of wrap this bad boy up, Jack. The way we played was impressive. Don't get me. It was a great plan. We executed it perfectly. Really kind of nullified Liverpool. But I wouldn't say it was a taxing game. Like it's not like we were pressing for 90 minutes, but like we did kind of against Arsenal, that semi-final. It was sort of selective pressing, but sort of retreated when we had to and just kind of snuffed everything out. So it's positive to know that we can play like that and win and not have to be like Energizer Bunnies for 90 minutes.
Lott said something really interesting in his post-game press conference. He said that this was not a game where there was a massive amount of running, and he said that they didn't have a lot of pressing to do because we were going direct, and we made the game about duels, about individual battles. We won all of our individual battles because we had people like Joe Linton, Dan Burn, the midfield, or everybody, Tino, everyone, Trippier, they won their individual battle. So it wasn't about the pressing so much and about the, like you said, the Energizer Bunny for the whole game. It was more controlled what we did, and we made the game how we wanted to play it, and then we executed that perfectly. And if that's not the sign of a top class manager, you know, I don't know what is. You know, looking at their weaknesses, where are we much more strong than them, and then making the game about that, and then for the players to be able to execute that. I think that's exactly what happened. And yeah, we haven't really spoken about Eddie Howe. I'm sure we're going to talk about him a lot more over the coming. We've got 2.5 weeks before the next game now, which is perfect.
Yeah, I was just that was the next thing I was going to talk about. Is I was dead against the length between the semi-final and the final. I thought it was absolutely infuriating to have it to wait that long. Now we've won in the timing of it and knowing we can soak it in for 2 weeks, I think it was the best idea ever. Now, normally, like, I guess with the in-season cycle, you kind of maybe celebrate it for 2 or 3 days and then attention kind of rolls to the next fixture on the weekend and things like that. But with the international break, we're going to have a good probably week and a half, 2 weeks of content coming through from the club and the players and everything like that. And yeah, I can't wait for the next kind. I just keep refreshing my phone. Like, so what have they done? I'm just hopping between Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and players and fans that were there, fans in like fan events and things like that. I just can't get enough of it. And now once the club start putting out the official stuff, the sort of change room stuff after the game and all that, it's just going to be the best 2 weeks ever, Craig, isn't it?
It's going to just be absolutely sublime. Literally shortly after the footage on BN Sports, because that's how we watch it over here, when that finished, for whatever reason, it didn't go to any post-match interviews or anything. I was straight on YouTube, just typed in Newcastle United, and just kept on refreshing every 30 seconds until the Sky Sports interviews or anything like that came up, or anybody that had just recorded off their TV and thrown on YouTube. Watching
before
all of
I got copyrighted.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And the one bit, I mean, by then I was already a blubbering wreck, but the one bit that I've seen in an interview where Eddie was walking towards, I think it was, I can't remember who he was doing the interview with, but you could see he had tears in his eyes and how much it meant to him as well as all the other players. And Eddie, he doesn't show a lot of emotion, a lot on the touchline. He kind of keeps it all maybe hidden behind the scenes. But to me, with Eddie with tear in his eyes, and then you had Trips, he was crying as well. Bruno, you know, he's just an emotional wreck most of the time. But yeah, that scene with Eddie with tear in his eyes just got me big time. And he is now part of the fixture and foundations of this club. He will go down as one of the club's greatest ever managers. Build him a statue, knock down Gray's monument, put it there. I do not care where it goes. But that man absolutely deserves one. And also, we need to carve Dan Burn's face into the Angel of the North, because if anyone's going to get another statue, it's got to be him. But
maybe just replace the Angel of the North. You could be a life-size figure of Dan Burn instead of the Angel of the North there.
Still probably a couple of feet short, though.
Yeah.
But I'll go back to a while ago when it was Shearer who said, no one can describe what it feels like to score a goal. And then someone said, no one can describe what it feels like to win a trophy. And I'm trying to put this into words as to what this feels like, but I just can't. And I imagine you two are exactly the same. The next few weeks are going to be absolutely glorious. The content, as you said, will be thick and fast, and it can't come quick enough, especially that open bus parade at the end of the season. That is going to be something else.
I reckon there'd be about 500,000 people going for that bus parade. It's going to be off the charts. It's funny that...
This is the thing, though, like the amount of people that feel this way, like, and that's why I said on Twitter, do they actually realize what they've done? I don't know if they actually comprehend, because what they've done is too big for them to realize. Like, I think maybe Bruno understands, and I'm sure Eddie understands, and he got choked up in his press conference. He was talking about his mum who passed away about 8 years ago as well. But most people have got a story like that, you know. Like, my dad was a Man United fan, but he died almost 8 years ago to the day, and he would have loved this for me, you know. Like, he followed Man United. He was born in Salford, but he would have just loved this. And when you hear the manager talk about this, you know, talk about it in those terms, everyone's got a story like this, you know, and that's why it means so much. And that's why the next 2 weeks are going to be amazing. And I think there's going to be plenty more tears, and, you know, but it's happy tears. It's tears of joy. And that's what's going to be coming. And who cares about the next game? Who cares about anything anymore? Like, I think the rest of the season could be good. We could pick up some confidence, and hopefully we do get top 5. But it doesn't really matter now, to be honest. It doesn't. Let's see if I still feel like that in 2 weeks. But That's how I feel right now.
And if you're going to watch one interview today after this podcast, if you're watching, jump on YouTube, find Bruno's post-match interview. I'm not sure who it was with. I couldn't remember what the little label was on the microphone, but the emotion from him and him being able to, I guess, try and not justify it, but try and sort of explain how it feels and what it means, not just for him, but to the fans and how him and the players had tried to sort of fix the last 70 years of what the fans are going through and stuff like that. It's an absolute must watch, and for him to deliver it, such a powerful sort of interview in such a huge moment of his life and career was just, it was perfect. And the way he could explain it through tears as well was huge. So if you're only going to watch one bit of content after this one, I urge you to go and find Bruno's interview post-game on the ground with whoever it was. I can't remember who it was, but it's huge. But we might wrap this up here, otherwise we'll be waffling on for the next 3 hours, and I think we could easily do that. But we'll let the dust settle on this. We'll be back later on in the week with a far more sensible and balanced
coherent
podcast. with real logical thoughts about what had happened during the game and things like that. But for now, boys, appreciate you for jumping on this afternoon. Just keep hitting that refresh button and let's see what digs up, especially probably we're maybe a couple of hours from sort of waking up in the UK with more footage and everything like that from the club. Will start, no doubt, dropping some more stuff. So, yeah, can't wait for all that to go. But in the meantime, I'm going to watch more highlights and more interviews that I've probably already watched 10 times already, but I can't get enough. So that's where my afternoon's going. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Keegan. Thanks, Craigie. Champions.
Cheers, lads.
Give some cheer.
Yay!